So in this guide, I'm going to show you how to set up a community site on the Akuvox cloud. So the first thing to do is log into your installer account, at ecloud.akuvox.com using the username and the password that you've been provided and click login. Then to add a new community site, simply click add community site and it will bring up the new community creation page. If it's just a single site, a single pool point, a single house, then just leave the number of apartments at 20. That's not a problem. Home automation service, that's normally left off unless you're using the Acubella range of smart home products. Landline service is normally left off, but Akuvox does have the ability to make an audio-only call to a landline or a mobile telephone number. If you want to do that, you select on. It is a premium feature though, so feature plan would need to be select premium and you'd need to pay the annual subscription for that service. I'm going to turn that off. Now, feature plan, if the customer has an indoor monitor, then it will provide 4 licenses free of charge per house or per apartment. If you want to make use of the landline calling service, though, even if you've got a monitor, you need to select premium. If the customer doesn't have a monitor and they are paying for the annual subscription for the licenses for the Smart Plus app, then you need to select premium and the landline service would be included in that payment. I've got a monitor, so I'm going to leave it at basic. So community name, this is normally the customer name. And then the address, we will just simply put in United Kingdom. Choose a county. Find the closest city or town to the install. Postcode, do put something in the postcode. Make sure it's the right one because the indoor monitor will display a weather forecast based on that postcode. And street, we'll just put in the first line of the street name. Time zone will leave the same. Time format will leave it 24-hour. Date format, we'll switch that to day, month, year, and then we'll leave everything else as it is and click submit. I've already tried to do this, so let's change that. There we go. So here you see the customer that I've just created. Now to go into it, click more under the actions column. And this is where you start creating the site. Now this guide, we're just showing you how to set up community for a single domestic property. So click add building and then you can put the customer house or the property name in here. So we can call this the Elms. And click tick. And now you've now created a building. What we now need to do is we need to create a call point in that building, add the monitor and the intercom. So to do that, click on the building and then under APT, apartment, you click new. So although you're creating an apartment, in effect, what you're doing is creating a call point. Floor, we'll leave that blank. We're not using lift control, so we don't need to put anything in there. Apartment number, we do need to put a unique number in there, so we can just put number 1. And then apartment name, we'll just call it again the Elms. That's the name of the property here. Web relay will leave the same. Contact preference set to group call as standard, but you can set it up as sequence call if you want. Call type, Smart Plus and indoor monitors means the monitor and any apps, they'll all ring at the same time. You can change that here so that it will ring the monitors and then it will call the app as a backup. But most people leave Smart Plus and indoor monitors as standard. Call or IP call. This is really important. Are the devices on the same local network? If they are, then leave it as IP call. If, however, you've got an intercom on 4G or using a 4G router, or you've got devices on different networks in the property, the indoor monitors are on different networks, then choose SIP call. You can go back and change that if you make a mistake, so don't worry about it if you get it wrong at this stage. I'm going to set it as IP call because everything's on the same local network. Now, because I've selected basic, it's now looking for a MAC address of the indoor monitor. If you select premium, you're telling it that you don't necessarily have an indoor monitor, so it won't ask you for this at this stage. So I'm just going to get a MAC address of a monitor and place that in there. Arming function will leave off. Network will leave the same. And then device name. This is generally where it's being installed, so we're going to install this in the kitchen. These two relays here are the local relays on the monitor. They're generally not used, so leave those two relays off. And then we click Add Resident and scroll down. Now this is where you put your resident details. So first and last name and an email address. Now, seeing an email address in here, that will send the link to download the app with their unique username and password. You can put your installer email in here if you wish. And that will then send you the link to download the app and that allows you to test it. You can then go back into this at a later date and change the email. That will kick you off the system and send your customer the email to download the app with their login details. Don't need to put country, region, and mobile number in here. If you don't have an email address, you can put country, region, and a mobile number, and it will send a text message to your customer with the details on how to download and log into the app. So once you've set all that up, click submit, and that will then create your apartment or your call point. So we've got a monitor already added to that. Now I want to add the intercom, so I click on intercom devices and click on new, and then I have the MAC address for the intercom there. Whether you change this to single tenant door phone or leave it a multi-tenant door phone doesn't really matter. It just changes the icon that you see. So if you do have multi-tenant door phones and single tenant door phones on a larger setup, then the icon will tell you which one's which. Contact display settings, I'll leave as it is, and device name, this is where it's being installed. So we're going to install this on the front door. Allow users to monitor the device. If you leave that as yes, then from the app and the indoor monitor, there'll be a monitor button that they'll be able to view a 30-second feed from the video. If you don't wish for that to be enabled, you can select no. So here we're now setting the relay settings on the cloud. Relay 1 is normally enabled, is always enabled as standard. If you're just using one relay, you don't need to rename it. It's not going to show anywhere. If, however, you are using two relays, maybe you're installing on a gate and you want a vehicle gate and a ped gate, or maybe it's on a door and you want a side door, or maybe a deliveries door, or maybe a parcel delivery bot that can be activated by a relay, then you would need to rename them. So you change to say vehicle, it's a door, and then we'll have parcel box. Now, under both of these relays, you've got access methods. So if I'm, as a resident, I'm adding information or credentials using the app, this is where you decide what credentials added to the app, what relay it will fire. For example, if I upload facial recognition, if I leave face ticked on both relays, my face would then trigger both relays at the same time. So I only want to open the door with face, so I'd remove it from the parcel box. Again, RF card, I want to remove. Bluetooth, I want to remove. NFC, I want to remove. PIN, if you want different pins assigned to different relays, then leave PIN enabled on both. If you only want PIN to fire one of the relays, then leave PIN, then just assign PIN to one of the relays at the moment. So I could submit that, and that would create two relays. But if I just wanted one, I could deselect and then click submit. So now I can see my intercom here. If I click on community and then intercom devices, that will allow me to see all the devices that are installed across the community. So there we go. We can see the status is now green for both those devices. That means that they're online, they're being seen by the cloud. If when you add them and you go to intercom devices and the status is not green, then reboot the device. It probably means that they were plugged in when you added the MAC address for the first time. The devices will just need a reboot to be seen online. Now, if you want to add more than a monitor and an intercom, you can do so. So I click on the Elms. If I wanted to add more monitors, I would add them under the apartment. And to do so, I click on Actions and Edit. And then I can scroll down, Intercom Devices, click on New, and this is where I can add more indoor monitors. If I wanted to add more intercom devices, then on the building, Intercom Devices, I could click New, and this is where I can add more intercoms. I could also add access control devices as well if I want, and it's exactly the same setup as per the previous setup for setting up the intercom. One of the advantages of using the community to set up a single domestic residence as opposed to single family is being able to assign a property manager to the portal. So if you're setting up under single family, then all the administration is done using the app, and it doesn't really allow that user to create PIN codes for maybe builders or dog walkers, maybe staff members. The only way they could grant access under single family would really be to create temporary QR codes and send them out. Adding a single domestic property under community will allow you to create a property manager. Now to do that, I click on Users, New Property Manager, put the name in, so it's this property manager. Oh, and put in an email address, so at gmail.com, and click submit. Now that will then give me password. What I need to do is assign that property manager to a site. So if I go back to my sites and then click under property manager under actions, this will allow me then to assign a property manager to that site. I can assign more than one property manager if I wish to do so. And as a property manager, I could be assigned to multiple communities or sites within that installer account. Now, if I log out and put in that email address, so manager@gmail.com, and then put in the password, I agree the terms of service, I now get to the admin portal. So here it will allow me to see all the logs of the devices. So I'll be able to see all the logs for the last 30 days on the cloud. So every time a PIN code is used, a QR code, facial recognition, all that information will be stored here. And then under this capture, there'll be an image of that person who has tried to access or gained access at that point in time. If I wanted to create access PIN codes and maybe facial recognition for external family members, so maybe grandparents or neighbours, friends, or staff members, I can do so under visitor and staff authorization, and then I can click new. So now we could have a grandparent. I could create a PIN code for them. I could also upload Face ID for that person as well if I'm using facial recognition or have a facial recognition enabled device. and then I can choose an access group. Now there is an access group here, which is 24/7, so I can select that. But if I wanted to limit access to this particular person, I could create a new access group by going to new. And then I could maybe, let's just allow this person weekday access. So if I click weekly, that will allow me to choose which days of the week and a time frame. So I'm allowing access 24 hours every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And here I can select the device or the relay. So if I had two relays enabled here, I could select which relay. So if it was a vehicle gate and a ped gate, I could allow somebody access only via the ped gate if I chose to do so. If there are multiple devices, then you can select the different relays for multiple devices. So you can control the access routes that maybe visitors or staff members have. So if I click submit, that access group is now here available for me to select, and the access group or groups that I want to assign, and then click the submit button. I haven't selected an access type, so let's put in a PIN code and click submit. And now I can see this person with their access methods, what groups they're assigned to. If ever I want to change it, I can just click the edit button. If I want to remove this person completely, I can just click delete and click OK. So that's how we set up a single domestic property on Community, and how we create a property manager, assign them to that site, and control the access methods and entry for staff or visitors outside of the immediate family group.